Like one of my favorite quotes, it says, if you've forgotten the language of gratitude, you'll never be on speaking terms with happiness.
Yeah.
Like if you've forgotten the language of gratitude, you'll never be on speaking terms with happiness, right? Like what are you grateful for? Every single day, just slow down, right? Like what are you grateful for, man? Like just something simple, right? Because it recalibrates and puts us in the space and place that when I'm grateful, I learn more. When I'm grateful, I'm a little bit better, right? When I'm grateful, I listen a little more. When I'm grateful, I'm more in the moment, right? When I'm grateful, as my dog would say, I'm where my feet are. Like when I'm grateful, right? If you forget the language of gratitude, you'll never be on speaking terms with happiness. Slow down every once in a while, man. Just think about what you're grateful for. Or just write down what you're grateful for.
The Lonely chapter describes a time in which you're growing, you're changing as a person, and you're now so different that you can no longer resonate with your old set of friends, but you're not sufficiently developed that you've got the new set of friends that you're going to grow into. And this is the Lonely chapter. And the problem with it is that you're always, the desire to sort of regress back to where you were is always going to be there, and you're going to have uncertainty. There's not even the promise of glory or success or triumph when you get through the other side. What am I pushing toward? You know, you're telling me that I'm not going to go out on this night out with my friends, which I've done for the last 5 years or 10 years in the town that I grew up in or went to university in or whatever. You're telling me that I'm not going to do that because I'm going to get up and I'm going to meditate or read. Who even knows if meditation works, right? Like, or you've got all of these questions in your mind, and all of your friends and all of the dynamics and the temptations pull you back toward that. It pulls you back toward the old version of life. So this Lonely chapter is a period through which I think everybody needs to squeeze. Anybody that decides to go from a place they are to a place that they want to be is going to have to let go of people who can't go there with them. And this isn't a value judgment about the people that are doing the personal growth thing are better than the people that are already fine as they are and are happy leading a different sort of life. It's that if you know that there is something that you're meant to do, if you know that there's something that you're meant to change, you will have to let certain groups, friends, routines, places, activities, recreations that you do, you're going to have to let those go. And there is this, you know, the Rocky cutscene lasts for 90 seconds in the movie, but it can last for 5 years in your life. And you have no idea whether or not it's even going to work. And that's the bit that always got to me. The bit that always got to me was I didn't even know if there was going to be any glory on the other side. It's like ordering an Uber and never knowing if it's going to arrive or not. You think, well, I'm just stood here doing the thing, but I don't know if it's going to come out on the other side. And I can promise you, anybody that has done anything, moved from any place they were to any place that they want to be, has gone through this Lonely chapter.
Somebody asked me the other day, what did I learn about myself from the highs and lows of my life? The highest point of my life and the lowest point of my life, what did I learn about myself? And I said, I learned that I don't let the highs and the lows affect me too much, because we're going to have wins, we're going to have losses. We're going to have successes, we're going to have failures. We're going to have good nights, we're going to have bad nights. We're going to have good relationships, we're going to have bad relationships. We're going to have good ideas and bad ideas. We're going to make money, we're going to lose money. All these things are going to happen. And if you oscillate emotionally up and down drastically, it's going to be problematic. So finding a good, stable, centered way to be and look at the world and take everything that you see with a little bit of a grain of salt and don't get swayed too drastically in one direction or the other, you're going to be okay.
Do you think that everyone has purpose?
The way I look at it is, you, Theo, were born with a DNA that will never be replicated in the past or in the future. It's a unique marker of you, right? So genetically, there is something different about you. Weird, odd, great, whatever you want to put it, okay? And it's like something that's planted at your birth. It's what makes you different from everybody else. It's even what makes you different from your parents, right? I mean, you do inherit their genetics, but it's always different, okay? And so that that's like a seed at your birth. If you cultivate that seed, if you cultivate your uniqueness, it gives you a purpose in life. It's why you are unique. You can look at it as if somebody or it's just nature intended it to be this way, but it's what makes you you. It's your energy, it's your character, it's your weirdness, it's your sense of humor. It's what draws you to certain things, what you hate about certain things. It's you.
Almost all the meaning that you will need to get you through the hard times of your life is going to be a consequence of adopting responsibility, not of rights and impulsive action, impulsive freedom. Like, fine, rights, yeah, got it. Freedom, no problem. Even freedom to do impulsive things, fine. But that isn't where you're going to find the meaning that keeps you sustained through the storms of life. That's going to be, you take care of yourself, you take care of your intimate partner, you take care of your damn family. You don't run off. You take care of your community. You rescue the wisdom from the past. You stand up straight and you be courageous despite the fact that life is tragic and tainted by malevolence.
The person you have to spend the most time listening to in your life is yourself. Try not to lose their respect. And self-respect and self-esteem, I think, largely comes from having faith in your own word. So if you were to treat yourself like a friend you are responsible for helping, which is Peterson's advice, right? Let's say that every time you invited a friend out for lunch, they turned up late or didn't turn up at all, they didn't text back, they just kept not holding to their word. After a while, you wouldn't believe in them, you wouldn't be friends with them, and you'd stop inviting them out to lunch. You are that friend to yourself. How on earth do you think that you're going to be able to move mountains and get out of that relationship that you don't like and move countries or change career when you can't not hit snooze, even though last night you promised yourself that you weren't going to hit snooze? And it's how people that are able to do extraordinary things have been able to get there. That they've just started off unbelievably small, right? I'm just not going to hit the snooze button.
This is what I don't understand about people, especially men in the world today. Why are they so worried about being afraid? Why are they so worried about, I was afraid every time I fought.
Yeah.
I fought anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I don't let fear guide what I'm gonna do. I do what I'm supposed to do regardless of how I feel. So I don't see anything wrong with feeling fearful. I don't see anything wrong with feeling stressed or under pressure or anxious. All these things men are trying to get rid of. And I talk about men specifically. I gender this because I'm a man. I don't know how it feels to be a woman. But all these things that people are trying very hard to get rid of from their brains, I don't see why they need to leave. I will argue the point that if I feel anxious and pressured and stressed and fearful, I will get more done than if I was happy. I think if I was happy, I'd just be hedonistic and just wasting my time. I think that you get a whole bunch done with these negative connotations and negative emotions, and I think that life is suffering and pain, and you're here to go through it, and the sooner you get used to the taste, the more successful you're gonna be. I have no interest in trying to change the flavor, my friend. The flavor of life is pain, and I will eat all of it.
The master key to riches is self-discipline. And what we have found is that the most successful people have come to that conclusion as well, is that self-discipline is the master key to success. So for you to write down your goals and make a plan and set priorities and start with your most important task takes tremendous self-discipline. If you haven't done it up to now, it's so hard. But Goethe said everything is hard before it's easy. And everything at the beginning is difficult, but later it becomes easy and automatic. You have to force yourself to discipline yourself at the beginning, but after that, it becomes easier, and you actually feel happy.
Your laziness is something that has to do with you. You're not connected to something deep enough. You don't feel the necessity. You don't feel the devil at your heels. You don't feel the fact that you could very well die tomorrow that will impel you to get something done. There's no necessity behind it. And the human animal, the way we were created, is when we feel pressure, we feel the necessity to get things done. We can move mountains.
I think you either have to have a really big carrot, which everyone talks about, like finding your passion or whatever, and like, I actually am pretty against it. I think that most people who are like in the beginning of the game, like, you don't have a passion yet. Most of you, like most people are like, man, I just love this one thing. But everybody has shitloads of pain. Like that, like a lot of people like can't find passion. It's like, can you find pain? And they're like, yep, I got lots of that. I got anger, I got shame, I got pain, whatever it is. I'm like, cool. Well, the first rule of entrepreneurship is use what you got. And so like, if that's what you got, then burn that.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to necessarily find this passion, like this beautiful carrot, because that, to me, that's not what got me going. for me, I think it was like away from fear, which is like I knew like in my bones that I would rather die than go back home and like fail.
If you want to be ordinary, you ain't even got to listen to me. Just go on about your business. If you think ordinary's cool, ain't no problem. It's some really, really wonderful ordinary people. But if you are sitting in this room and you have extraordinary aspirations, then you're gonna have to do extra. You put extra on top of ordinary and you come up with extraordinary. It's no other way. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category. Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. It ain't but 24 hours in a day. You cannot be sleep 8 hours a day. You can't live in LA and wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. The stock market been open 2 hours. They already making decisions about your life and your ass was asleep.
Find a thing you like. Try to find a thing that you really enjoy. Try to find a thing that you're passionate about.
Like an activity.
Yes. For me, early on, it was drawing. It was illustrations. It was comic books. I wanted to be a comic book illustrator. And then it went from comic book drawing and illustrations to martial arts. So, but it was just another thing that I was very, very passionate about. And that was my vehicle out of my dilemma. That was my vehicle out of my own anxiety and trauma and my own issues and insecurities. And find something. Find a thing that you genuinely enjoy, because getting good at things you genuinely enjoy is extremely beneficial for young people, because it lets you know that, like, everybody thinks they're a loser. Every young person thinks they're a loser, at least a young person in the situation I was at. Like, I didn't know I wasn't a loser until I started winning, until I started doing martial arts. Martial arts taught me that, like, I could get better at stuff, that I wasn't really a loser. I just was someone who was like in a fucked up situation. But you could channel all that energy that you have as a young person into something and get better at it. And then all of a sudden people admired me. I was like, this is crazy. So I went from being someone who was incredibly insecure and basically a failure to someone who was really successful at this one thing that was very dangerous, that other people were scared of.
Don't let life stop you from living life. All that you feel, all that you're carrying, all that you've seen, all that you've heard, all that you've been exposed to, all of those experiences, they are all very, very real. You may not be telling people about them, but you're thinking about them, you're carrying it, you're processing, you're triggered by it. It's all still there. But do yourself a favor.
I think 3 components of somebody that does something very big with their lives. 1, they experienced unconditional love from one person. You only need one person to give you unconditional love. For you to know that's possible and it exists, normally it's someone's mom. But you need, meaning you can get arrested, you can do anything you're doing. That person's gonna love you no matter what. You have to experience that. Number 2,
to be successful.
You have to have that, because you have to know that it's worth the pain. Love is worth the pain you're gonna go through in the chaotic times. The second thing you need is hardcore betrayal and pain from someone you loved. So you love somebody so much, but no matter what you do, you're never gonna get this person. It could be a female, it could be a father.
Yeah.
It could be a mother, it could be a uncle, it could be anything. But it's pain. So you're constantly engaged and proving to this person that you're worthy, but no one knows. It's a secret between you and that person. It's a relationship, and you're never going to win, but you need it. And the last one is the right enemy. Most people don't choose the right enemy. Most people choose a dumb enemy that gets them for 3 months or 3 weeks or a couple of years and even brings out the bad side of you. But if you get the right enemy going, it can bring out a whole different side of you.
I don't care what you're going to do, but go out there and make something of yourself, for God's sake. Be an honest person and work and get to the top of whatever it is that you want to get to the top of. You know, and stand up for yourself like a respectable human being and be a bit of a light on the world instead of a blight. You know, and you can tell young people that, and they haven't been told that by anyone now. And so the young men are so hungry for that it's painful to watch. They're so relieved when someone finally comes up and says, hey, you know, you get your act together a bit, discipline yourself, see if you can learn to tell the truth, concentrate on something for a year or two, you could be a bloody world beater. That might make life worth living. It's like, yeah, it might. So why don't you go do it?
Hey, I know to win, I have to practice this, right? Because a lot of people get wrapped up in this dark energy and they get so consumed with it that they forget what it is that makes them great at what they do. So they forget their skill set. They forget they got to put in the reps. You have to delineate. I'm taking energy from here and I'm going to do this productive action over here because it's moving me forward. You can't just pout and scream and kick your fists and say it's not fucking fair, because guess what? It isn't fucking fair. It's never going to be fair. It's never been fair. And you screaming and throwing a tantrum about it is irrelevant. No one cares. The world doesn't care. God doesn't care. Your family doesn't care. It's not fucking fair, motherfucker. Get that through your brain. Okay? Now, take all of the negative shit, all the shit your parents said, all the shit your cousins said, all the shit your friends and family said, all the laughter, all the doubts, all the eye rolls, all the shit your girlfriend said, and start to remember that shit. Don't memory hole it in some place and forget about it and say, oh, my trauma. No, say, hey, fuck you for not believing me. Now I'm going to go out. I'm going to use this energy to become so big, so successful, so powerful, so undeniable that when I walk in the room, you look at the fucking floor. That's what you want to be.
If you think differently than your immediate family or your friends or whatever your hometown is, one, you probably don't want to be normal. Because if you take what normal means and put it across all aspects of life, it means that you're going to die at 74, you're probably going to be overweight, you're going to, be divorced, you're going to not really achieve anything that you want. Like, that's normal. And so it makes sense that you would be the odd man out because most people live that life. And so, like, that was something that gave me a lot of permission to, like, be me, which was not normal in a lot of, and that's okay. Because I mean, like, ordinary versus extraordinary means that you are not